The art of silent strength. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to crumble at the first sign of trouble while others stand firm like ancient oaks in a hurricane? Let me tell you about Sarah, a colleague who shared every workplace frustration, every personal struggle, every moment of doubt with anyone who would listen. She thought vulnerability meant strength, that openness would bring support. Instead, she became the office target, her weaknesses weaponized by those who smiled to her face but sharpened their knives behind her back. The human mind operates on a simple principle. We test what appears breakable. When you constantly reveal your pain points, you hand others a roadmap to your destruction. This isn't cynicism, it's psychological reality. Studies from the 1970s by social psychologist Leon Festinger revealed how people naturally gravitate toward exploiting perceived weaknesses in others, a phenomenon rooted in our tribal survival instincts. The paradox is brutal but true. Your transparency can become your prison. The more you expose your inner wounds, the more ammunition you provide to those who would see you fail. This triggers what psychologists call social vulnerability targeting, where individuals unconsciously or deliberately exploit others' revealed insecurities. Think of a master chess player. They never reveal their strategy, never show their next 3 moves. Their power lies not in secrecy for its own sake, but in strategic concealment. Your emotional resilience works the same way. When you master the art of keeping your struggles internal, you develop what the Stoics called inner citadel, an unbreachable fortress of the mind. This doesn't mean becoming cold or disconnected. It means understanding that your pain is your teacher, not your advertisement. The strongest people aren't those who never feel pain. They're those who transform that pain into wisdom without broadcasting the process to the world. But here's what most people miss. This silent strength isn't about suppression. It's about selective sharing. Like a skilled surgeon who chooses exactly where to make the incision, you must choose exactly who deserves access to your vulnerabilities. The power of selective listening. Do you find yourself constantly talking, explaining, defending your thoughts while barely hearing what the world is trying to teach you? I once knew a man named David who dominated every conversation. At business, meetings, family dinners, casual encounters, he filled every silence with his voice. He believed his words carried weight, that speaking more meant mattering more. But David remained stagnant for years while quieter colleagues advanced around him. He was so busy broadcasting that he forgot to receive. Nature designed us with 2 ears and 1 mouth. But this isn't just anatomy, it's psychology. Research by behavioral scientist Dr. Adam Grant in 2016 demonstrated that individuals who listen more than they speak show significantly higher rates of professional advancement and personal satisfaction. The brain processes listening and speaking differently, with listening activating areas associated with empathy and strategic thinking. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your voice teaches you nothing new. Every word you speak comes from knowledge you already possess. But when you listen, truly listen, you access the collective wisdom of everyone around you. This triggers what psychologists call cognitive expansion, where your mental models grow through exposure to different perspectives. Think about water finding its way down a mountain. It doesn't force its path by making noise. It finds the route of least resistance by adapting to the terrain. Your growth follows the same principle. When you listen more than you speak, you discover opportunities, insights, and solutions that your own voice would have drowned out. But listening isn't passive absorption. It's active intelligence gathering. Every conversation becomes a chance to understand human nature, to spot patterns, to learn what drives people's decisions. The quiet observer sees what the loud participant misses. This creates a psychological advantage called information asymmetry. While others reveal their thoughts, intentions, and weaknesses through constant talking, you remain a mystery while building a comprehensive understanding of your environment. The irony is sharp. Those who speak the most often understand the least, while those who listen most deeply hold the real power. Your silence becomes your strength. Your questions become your weapons, and your patience becomes your greatest asset, embracing the inevitable storm. When was the last time you prepared for disaster instead of just hoping it would never come knocking at your door? Meet Elena, a successful architect who built her entire life on the assumption that good times would last forever. She never saved for emergencies, never considered backup plans, never imagined her firm could collapse. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, she lost everything in 6 months. Her optimism became her downfall because she confused hope with preparation. The human brain suffers from what psychologist Daniel Kahneman called optimism bias, our tendency to overestimate positive outcomes while underestimating negative ones. We live in denial of life's fundamental nature. Chaos is the rule, not the exception. This cognitive blind spot leaves us emotionally unprepared when reality strikes. Here's what most people get wrong about expecting the worst. It's not pessimism. It's psychological armor. When you mentally rehearse failure, betrayal, loss, and setbacks, you're not inviting them in. You're building resilience for when they inevitably arrive. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, the practice of imagining loss to appreciate what you have and prepare for what might come. Consider a surgeon before a complex operation. They don't just plan for success, they prepare for every possible complication. This mental preparation doesn't create problems, it creates solutions before problems arise. Your mind works the same way. When you've already lived through disaster in your imagination, the real thing loses its power to destroy you. Research by psychologist Julie Norham in 1998 revealed that defensive pessimists who expect negative outcomes actually perform better and experience less anxiety than optimists when facing challenges. The anticipation of pain builds tolerance for actual pain. But there's a deeper truth here. When you expect nothing good, everything becomes a gift. The phone call that brings bad news doesn't devastate you because you were already prepared. The relationship that ends doesn't shatter you because you never assumed it would last forever. This isn't about living in fear. It's about living in reality. Life is unpredictable. People are unreliable, and circumstances change without warning. When you accept this truth and prepare accordingly, you become unbreakable. The mathematics of multiple dreams. How many of your hopes are hanging by a single thread, waiting to either make you or destroy you completely? I watched my friend Marcus chase one dream for 15 years. He wanted to become a professional musician, pouring every dollar every weekend, every conversation into this singular vision. When a record deal fell through at the last moment, he didn't just lose an opportunity, he lost his entire identity. He had built a house of cards with only one card. The human psyche creates what psychologists call goal attachment disorder, where we fuse our self-worth with a single outcome. Research by Dr. Tim Kasser in 2002 showed that individuals with narrow goal focus experience higher rates of depression and anxiety when those goals face obstacles. Your dreams become your prison when you have only one. Here's the brutal mathematics. If you put all your hopes in one basket, you have a 100% chance of devastation if that basket breaks. But when you cultivate multiple dreams, failure in one area becomes merely redirection, not destruction. This creates what behavioral economists call portfolio resilience, where diversified investments protect against total loss. Think of a river flowing toward the ocean. When it encounters a boulder, it doesn't stop and mourn. It splits into multiple streams and finds several paths forward. Your ambitions should flow the same way. One dream blocked should activate 3 others, not paralyze your entire system. But there's a deeper psychological principle at work here. When you have multiple pursuits, you develop what researchers call cognitive flexibility, the ability to switch between different mental frameworks. This mental agility becomes your greatest asset when life demands adaptation. Consider the entrepreneur who builds multiple income streams versus the employee who depends on one paycheck. When economic storms hit, the diversified person has options while the specialist has only vulnerability. Your dreams work the same way. They should complement each other, not compete. The paradox is this: when you care deeply about many things, you become less desperate about any single thing. This emotional distance actually increases your chances of success because desperation repels opportunities, while calm confidence attracts them. Multiple dreams don't dilute your focus. They create multiple paths to fulfillment and multiple safety nets when one path closes. the final lesson of mortality. When you look in the mirror each morning, do you see someone living with urgency or someone sleepwalking through borrowed time? I knew a man named Robert who spent 30 years saving for a retirement dream home. He worked 60-hour weeks, skipped family vacations, postponed relationships, all for this future paradise. At 58, cancer found him first. He died in a hospital bed, surrounded by bank statements but empty of experience.